Hey everybody, welcome to ThinqTanq, where our diverse leaders tackle your diverse challenges. Today we're going to be looking at how to handle it when you're asked to work on diversity or racial equity initiatives and it ain't in your job description. I'm Ray P. Ferrer, the CEO of Ray Coach, and won't you join me in welcoming our fabulous and glamorous ThinqTankers.
Hello, my name is Miguel Yanez and I'm calling from Los Angeles, California. I am a health coach and a life coach and in charge of the learning department at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. And I saw outside my window right now, I have a fence and my neighbor is cooking. So I can see everything she's doing.
I hope she's cooking well.
Me too.
Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Misha Mosley and I am calling in from Oakland, California. I am the founder and director of the Black Teacher Project, and outside of my window is the speed raceway known as Lake Merritt.
Wow.
Hi everyone, I'm Asha Mehta. I'm calling in from San Francisco, California. I do leadership and organizational development work for feminists of color in my own consulting practice. And right next to me is my 10-year-old son. And outside the window is I'm seeing a beautiful kind of like an orange tree of my 80-year-old neighbor who lives downstairs, and just such a blessing taking care of all the plants, ours and the neighbors.
Nice. And I'm here in North Carolina, and outside my window right now is an exceptionally sullen teen whose mother is trying to convince him to get in the car to go someplace he clearly does not want to go to. That's right outside my window right now. Here's our challenge sent in from a corporate leader in the U.S. They write, "Dear ThinqTanq, like many companies, my firm was prompted by staff of color to take action in support of racial equity following the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and so many others. Our African American employee group, which I belong to, made the case to senior leadership to start a racial justice initiative where we look for opportunities to identify and correct problematic practices within the company and in our customer engagement. My senior VP mentioned in an all-staff meeting that she wants me to head this initiative. I know that the only reason she mentioned me is because I'm the most senior Black person that she knows in our division. There are some others in the larger company, just not in our division. The problem is I'm an accounting manager, not a racial justice expert. I'm active in my community, but I don't do diversity work on the job. I have zero training in this other than lived experience. Should I say yes, even though all I want to do is stay focused on accounting? If I should say yes, what training should I take? Signed, the numbers guy." All right, y'all, what do we have to say to the numbers guy?
I would say that, it's a very tricky situation. And yes, you need training, but the training, I wouldn't worry that much about the training because you need training to be in that type of position. And there's opportunities to shadow and there's courses that you can take. I will look at it from the perspective of what do you want? And it has to be in line what you want for life. If that's what you want, perfect. Go ahead and do it. And the training, seek guidance, seek help from other managers, seek help from the people that are actually giving you that promotion. If it's not what you want, be honest with yourself and gracefully decline. That would be my advice.
That's fair. Thank you, Miguel. Others, what are your thoughts?
I do really like that framing of what do you want, I feel like sometimes the person, it's like a hot potato or something. The people who raise the issue of racial justice are like, okay, here you go. It's like, there you go. Now you solve it, and it's like, well, we're raising it. Why does that mean we need to solve it, particularly if we are the people on the receiving end of this kind of... So I just think that there's a habit of treating racial justice issues like a cosmetic problem. Like, let's just make it look better by having the right faces of people of color, Black folks, whoever, doing this work. When really it's very much a white problem, and so we need white leadership around it too, and not just like the idea that whoever raises it has to take it. And so I'm just flagging that. I wonder if they just feel, sometimes I've noticed people pick people they feel comfortable with versus the people that will challenge them, so.
Correct.
Right. And, it's kind of like, what's your end goal? I mean, so much of what you all are saying, I think, people will ask, we'll say, we don't need someone who's focused on diversity or equity in our organization. We're just going to do it throughout. And I'm like, but do you have a CFO? Because your budget and your money goes throughout, but you do have somebody bottom lining it. And that person bottom lining it wants to do it and knows how to do it. So, I really think, to Miguel's point of like, if that's on your heart, if that's in your spirit, you're a numbers guy for a reason. I'm guessing you like numbers. Get with the numbers and help them see to shift some of those numbers to call an outside consultant. And, it reminds me of an experience I had where, I do this kind of work in my role with the Black Teacher Project and supporting folks in lifting up diversity and equity, racial equity in particular, supporting Black teachers in doing that. But there's one client where there was a conflict between senior leadership and they needed a mediator. I'm a good person. I got jokes. I keep it light. I can take difficult things and make it work. But like actually getting into the muck and mire of mediation and like the acute listening, the connections, like one, it's not my ministry. Like that's not what I'm called to do. Also, I feel like my skill of keeping things light, it can be transferable, but there are folks who are trained mediators who know how to do that work. And so I had to really, to Miguel's point, say, is this what I really want to do? And acknowledge, and what ended up happening is I said, yes, I would mediate a conversation between these senior leaders. Everybody left mad. They weren't mad at me, but they were still mad at each other. And so for me, I look back and I'm like, I did them a disservice by not acknowledging, because they assumed because I was in relationship with them, I was the good person to do it. Yes, you each trust me individually, but that didn't mean I actually had the skill to make it work. And so, I kept in good relationship with everyone, but I didn't serve them because I wasn't honest with myself and with them about the investment of time and resource I think they needed to actually have proper mediation.
I love that, Misha, and I want to underscore a couple of things that I've heard from everybody thus far. One is, if it's not your calling, then it's probably not best to select this option, right? To select this opportunity. If you don't feel called to it, this work is hard, and it puts you in situations that hit you emotionally when you're a person of color that it will not hit white colleagues. So we have to sit through conversations and hear people say and express things that are difficult for us to do. The emotional load of diversity, inclusion, racial equity work is high. So if you're not called to it, it's going to make those dips much harder to come back up from. So when you have dips, ebbs and flows, and on high points and low points in the work, the low points are not going to serve you well. That's one thing that comes to mind for me. So if it ain't your calling, don't do it. The other thing, and this is sort of like, and then on the other hand, who else is available to do it, and do you trust them? Are you going internally or externally? I've been on a lot of diversity. I've been brought into a lot of diversity situations in organizations where they've shunted responsibility of some high-profile, high-level work to become a stretch assignment for someone with almost no experience doing diversity or racial equity work. That happens a lot in corporate America. And I'm talking about you. If you're watching this video and I just left your project, I'm mentioning you. So, like I see you, I remember you. So when it's going to turn into somebody's stretch assignment, that's a risk. And can you do something? Can you contribute in some way to the formation or the setup of this effort that takes into account your positional power and your knowledge of the issue? And if not, then bring someone in who can do the work. But please, if you're listening to this video, under no circumstances turn it into a stretch assignment for somebody who don't know what they're doing, because it happens all the time. So that's the button this pushes for me. Anyway, what else comes to mind for you all as we wrap this conversation up?
Well, I was looking in LinkedIn, and you won't believe how many positions and how many jobs are for inclusion, director of inclusion, manager of inclusion. There is a lot. So in case they decide to take the job, there is also a lot of inclusion training. I mean, you just have to type inclusion training, inclusion certificate. There is tons of it right now, especially in these times. So, I mean, it's up to you. There is training available, but I will definitely advise you to go with your gut and what you are called to do in this role.
Yeah, and I guess my additional point that I wanted to name is like I really hear the responsibility in this question, you know, of like I'm a numbers person, I raise this, I care about it, and should I do it? You know, there's a really beautiful responsibility there, and I want to honor that, and also I also don't want that to be a burden. You know, I want it to honor the responsibility I hear, but again, to Misha's point about in an earlier think tank about toxic individualism, you're not alone, and you don't have to bear the sole responsibility for this if it's not your calling.
Yep. And I think that, you know, you can take responsibility for, you know, one way I think about leadership is taking responsibility for what matters to you, right? Like Julian Weissglass's idea around it. And if this matters to you, you can take responsibility without doing it. You can say, as the senior Black leader, I'm going to make sure it gets done. Thank you for tapping me to make sure it gets done. Here's the budget I need.
Which includes the external help I'm getting, right? so
thank you. That's exactly what I'm referring to, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm just because I'm the numbers guy. So watch these numbers, right? Here's what it costs. Thank you very much for that.
That's good.
Use that superpower, numbers guy. Use that superpower to get done what needs to get done and step out when you need to step out. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for your help today. Thanks for your brains. Thanks for your glamour. And thank you to our viewers for sending in your challenges. If you have a challenge that you'd like us to consider, send it to me, ray@raycoach.com, and we'll have at it. Take care of yourselves, we think say, and we'll see you soon.